As the Senate prepares for an impeachment trial, some Democrats worry about an acquittal will only embolden the president. Advocates are hoping for some wins on healthcare front next year. Here are the legal battles to watch in 2020. And the U.S. launched a series of airstrikes in the Middle East this weekend. We have that. I'm Sagar Enjeti in for Jamal Simmons. This is Why You Should Care. As the Senate gets ready for an impeachment trial, some Democrats worry that the White House will only use it as a source of momentum for President Trump's 2020 re-election bid. Senate Democrats Chris Murphy, Dick Durbin, and Tim Kaine are among them. Senator Durbin told The Hill, quote, "We all know the president. If there are not 67 votes to convict in the Senate, he'll claim that it was a witch hunt and that he was exonerated. As you may know, 67 votes are needed in the Senate to convict and remove the president from office, which has never happened thus far in U.S. history. Right now, Republicans hold a 53-47 majority in the chamber, and an acquittal is almost all but certain. Now, Senate Democrats aren't the only ones wary of this outcome. Democratic presidential hopeful Tulsi Gabbard recently told ABC News, quote, "I think impeachment, unfortunately, will only further embolden Donald Trump." According to The Hill, Gabbard has previously talked about possibly introducing a resolution to censure Trump, which is the constitutional equivalent of a public shaming of a U.S. president. Here's why you should care. Democrats might have a reason to worry. Impeachment has done little to hurt the president, at least whenever it comes to his approval rating. And in the latest Hill-Harris-X presidential approval rating, we saw the president's approval receive an uptick to 49%. We're going to keep an eye on this as the impeachment process continues. As we say goodbye to 2019, we know that healthcare still remains the top issue for many Democrats. According to The Hill, advocates are hoping lawmakers will be able to pass major healthcare legislation in 2020. 2019 had some bright spots for bipartisan efforts, but the year is ending with no major legislation being signed into law. According to a Hill report, here are some healthcare fights to watch in 2020. In 2019, there was talk of a bipartisan effort for things like reducing drug pricing, putting an end to surprise medical bills. And even though both initiatives were stalled, House Speaker Pelosi and some Senate Republicans aim to continue efforts to get those bills passed. And while lawmakers negotiate on those front, there's a lawsuit to overturn the Affordable Care Act, and it appears to be starting to getting a lot of noise. So last week, federal appeals court ruled that the law's mandate to have health insurance is unconstitutional, but it's unclear if the rest of the law should be struck down. It was sent back to the lower court. It's possible the Supreme Court could weigh in, but it's certain to be a top focus in the 2020 election. And speaking of the 2020 election, Democrats are battling over their versions of healthcare plans, and the fight has essentially come down to a Medicare for All system versus some sort of public option. The United States launched airstrikes against an Iranian-backed militia operating in Iraq and Syria. Trump administration officials, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and Secretary of Defense Mark Esper made the announcement Sunday from the president's Mar-a-Lago resort. Secretary Esper considered the attack successful, no harm to pilots or their aircraft. And the strike came after a rocket attack Friday killed an American contractor and injured U.S. service members and Iraqi personnel. Why you should care. U.S. usually responds to attacks against Americans, but Sunday's direct strike against a paramilitary group associated with Iran is dicey. Since the U.S. returned to Iraq, American and Iranian forces have refrained from attacking each other in an effort to focus on tackling ISIS. In recent years, however, the relationship between the two nations has become a lot more strained, in part due to ISIS losing its territory in the region and also due to the president's maximum pressure campaign. With Iranian-backed militias increasing threats, who knows whether the U.S.'s response over the weekend is going to fuel the fire or extinguish it.
Thanks for watching Hill TV on YouTube. Be sure to click subscribe and hit the bell so you know when we post new videos. And head to thehill.com for all the latest political news.